Hello, everyone. Today, I have an idea. I was sitting there watching a video earlier, and I wanted to go over a certain topic because it was just like a quick little video, and it was talking about channeling and just what it actually was, and what's the difference between like channeling, possession, um, and the realistic. Hi, how's it going, Mirror? And also, this is ultra low latency, so I can actually talk to you guys pretty much in real time with the actual video. So feel free to put your stuff in the chat, and you can hear my mouse click real loud. So but that's kind of like the idea I want to go for today is I want to help you guys understand a little more. I'll do some channeling, but what I want to actually talk about today is what's the difference between channeling, possession, psychedelic medicine. Um, we can answer some questions throughout, but like that's kind of like the main topic I want to kind of stick to today. If you guys would like to join me, and we can have a great fun conversation with each other. So if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. But yeah, good day to you, Andrew. How you doing? And I want to let a few more people kind of file in before we start talking and everything. So. And I'm going to use my therapist voice for when I'm in session with people and we're just kind of like chatting, and we're kind of going into the space where we open it up for everyone to actually have the experience of talking to each other, that kind of thing. So, and I'm actually in a pretty good mood today. Even though the last few days my sessions kind of fell apart, but yeah, whatever. But I'm working for myself right now because, or I'm tired of working for other people. I will say that much. Um, one of the struggles is like making sure you have sessions coming in, like money coming in, regardless of working for someone else. But yeah, whatever. Life kind of goes all over the place. So. But yeah, I want to wait a few more minutes. If you guys have questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll start talking and everything else. So. Yeah. And the thing is really loud, so I'm gonna probably do one thing real quick. There we go. Yeah, it's no longer super loud. Spoke too soon. Spoke too soon. the joy of like trying to make sure I don't have too many big sound. Yeah, that's loud. And I will be gladly going into channeling if you guys have questions. So here's the idea for today. What is the difference between channeling, meditation, and what also is the difference between like demon possession and all those things? The big thing about it is it all kind of boils down to resonance. Whether you're kind of going into a meditative state where you're actively trying to bring things in, or you're actually in a state where you try to resonate and create like your experience where you're connecting to the things around you. I feel like I will say this much: doing kind of stepping away from the whole like the stream stuff for a few months kind of changed my view on doing this. But like I really enjoy doing this for whoever shows up. But so when it comes to like the channeling aspect of how I'm actually connecting with the different beings that I've been channeling, it comes down to, why am I blanking on this right now? But it's I'm just kind of in a resonant state where I'm able to connect with them. It's kind of like if you guys have ever watched Bashar in the past, what he said about channeling or telepathy or any of those things, it's all about resonance. It's the tuning forks where they start vibrating at like the same frequency, and it's allowing the whatever needs to come in. And yay, more viewers. So if you're resonating with something that's not quite in alignment with you, a lot of times that's letting you know that you're getting the pushback to go back another way. So a lot of times what you see inside of our culture and society these days, there's a lot of imbalance. It's all that it's the pushback, whether it's the masculine or feminine. It's the pushback, whether it's the rich or poor. It's trying to bring, like, a lot of what you see inside of our culture is actually that resonant frequency where it's gone one way too far or it's gone another way too far. Whether it's the masculine being too dominant and too in control, or the feminine also trying to be too far in control. That's where you see, because I've been watching a lot of these videos, and I found it very interesting talking about like male loneliness or female loneliness or just loneliness in our society today. I find it fascinating as to why and how we as a culture have gone this far. It's the extreme swings of, like, you had men dominating for so many years, and now it's the opposite. So it actually kind of moves back and forth. And let's see, we got a message. About 4 years ago, I was in church and at mass grace. Everything came to a standstill. Nothing, nobody moved. Ooh, that's really cool. Then something moved over my hand as if something was coming into its own. As stood still, people moved again. Ooh, you got pulled into another reality. I know for a fact that's what I've had that happen a few times, and it's pretty fun, especially like, but you, in that moment, you were in resonance and pulled into another reality where it was actually, you were able to have that experience. And it's pretty cool. But no, like, so I do not drink coffee. Is there a diet you like? I personally, the way I personally eat and drink and those things I take into me, it's when your diet really does affect how well, like, anytime we'll just say, when I was still drinking, I could never channel. It made it so I was so far below where I'd be able to make that connection. My diet's still not that great, but like, it's, when it comes to channeling, it's about eating what's right for you and what's within terms of what's natural for you to eat. My diet's not the greatest, I will be honest with you, but it leaves me open to be able to actually channel in a pretty effective way. And at a certain point, I will allow Ethan to come through and let him talk for a few minutes. But that's kind of like the grand scheme of things. That's alcohol. I find lowers your vibration. And also lowers your frequency. You can't do things. If you drink coffee, I've seen some channels that do drink coffee that I've had like private sessions with in the past before I started channeling myself. Like Tyler, if y'all know Rayo and Rayo Ka and all that stuff. It's kind of about, it's not about like pulling away from reality. It's not about pulling away from your experience of, I must be super spiritual. Like what I said to a bunch of my patients and clients that I've had in the past, I am not what people expect to be able to have a lot of the abilities that I have. And the response I got from one of the clients I've had recently that she's seen me pretty consistently is this: I'm not what people expect, but I'm what they need. So they understand that everything is there for a reason. Everyone is just to let them know that they're included instead of excluded from their experience. Because I generally just want to help you guys. I want to help myself, and I want to help anyone that comes into the experience. Like, a lot of times you see people who pursue the channeling route or spiritual medium or anything, it becomes a lot about money, because they end up, and this goes back to resonance and frequency, where if everything becomes so much about money, you kind of lose focus about why you're doing it in the first place. For me, I really love just helping people. I love people find the answer to why things happen to them and why things have existed in their life. So for me, that's kind of like the core of why I do a lot of what I do. So, and that's for me, that's also the frequency that I put out. So if you resonate with that, that's why, because that's my own personal frequency that I'm putting out, and that's what I'm getting back from you guys. So, and also, so this goes back to the difference between like possession and like channeling. What's the difference between those things specifically? Because if you have channeling, you're going for more intention as to what you're doing, whereas if you're in a possessed state, you're usually being possessed by something at a much lower frequency, so you end up causing a lot of issues for yourself by being in such a low frequency. You're attracting a being that actually will resonate and also take you down a very dark road. And it goes back to your diet. Like if you eat really crappy food that makes you gain weight or makes like whatever, that will end up causing a lot of issues for you down the road because you choose to have those experiences. Like a lot of times, and you'll hear a lot of people say this because I've had this argument with people. You don't choose your experiences. You don't choose your family. You choose everything in your life. You are in control of your life. You have choice in every situation, in every place, in every time. Like I'm just getting over a cold, and that I'm glad all my clients this week actually kind of canceled so I can recover from this. So I'm not coughing at them. If you allow yourself to not be present and also to not be in resonance, you want to attract those things into your life that you view yourself as from the universe. But I didn't. Sometimes I get information from universe, but I didn't. Well, you're always getting information. There's always help being given. There's always things that are there to help you. It just depends on what you're really focused on. How are you interpreting those messages that you're being given by the universe or God or all that is, whatever you want to call it. There's no real negative in the experience, but how are you interpreting those experiences? I don't know who it is. A lot of times, those messages just come from your guides. I mean, if you break it down into simplest terms, a lot of those messages that you're receiving from your guides will come through in the simplest ways. Like, I've channeled my guides. Like, I have a pretty good relationship with them at this point. But the harder part, like, I can actually, at some point, I'll allow them to just come through and talk. Like, they've told me some really cool stories. It's being able to understand and interpret those messages that you're being given in a positive way. Like possession and channeling, like channeling the spirit, your spirit guides, or your higher self. It just depends on what level you're channeling from. That allows you to reach out into the universe and allows you to what you're bringing in. Like for me, through channeling, what I've found is it unlocks more abilities that raise my frequency and raise my ability to connect to everyone around me. So if you're having an experience in your life, and this is where you always come back to being the powerhouse in your life, the one that drives it and the one that gives meaning to all your experience, because you are the true meaning giver of your life. And I'm not breathing, and I really should. And I'm still getting the hang of this whole, and I'm getting a hang of this whole like channeling stuff and talking on stream. But that's kind of like the heart of what I'm saying is y'all go back to Bashar when he talks about stuff, it's the fourth law: what you put out is what you get back. So it's that resonant frequency is all it's doing in creation. It's just bouncing back to you as to what you're putting out. So if you're resonating with a higher level being, well, they're trying to give it to you all the time. Well, it depends. Like, I actually have various different beings that come through me. And my dog's barking in the background. You can honestly, a lot of times if you want to learn to more resonate with the positive. It's about joining with God. It's about joining with like all that is, and you're allowing yourself to be more in resonance with the positive aspect versus the negative aspect. And I'm going to close that door because it's getting kind of loud. Hold on a second. So the other thing, if you're speaking to your guides, the thing that you need to remember is that they're reading your energy, they're reading your intention, they're reading your connection to all that is, and they're constantly giving back feedback, saying, "You're putting this out. Is this what you really want?" So when those messages actually arise, it's pretty like. I personally feel like everyone makes everything way too complicated as to when things are showing up in their life. What is the problem? Like, you're being shown that if something is out of alignment, well, here you go. It's letting you know things are out of alignment. You're being given a chance by your guides and reality itself to say, hey, do you really want to have this experience? Because if you don't change it, you're going to have those experiences. Like, one of the things you can tell if it's me talking versus like Etham or any other channel, what I find is like when I'm channeling, I breathe naturally. Like, I don't hold my breath when I'm actually talking, which is pretty fun. Like, so, and I'm going to go into a little bit of a channel state and like let him talk through me and see if he has something to say. So let's see what this goes. Give me a second. Good day to you all. The message that we have been putting in the channel's ears for the last few days is all about resonance. Resonance to you, your experience, and who you are. You, as a being, are being allowed to see your connection to all that is. You're also being given a chance to decide what you, as a being, would like to experience. As you proceed forward, resonance-wise, you are being given a chance to determine your experience. We, as beings, as aliens to you, but we see you as family, are being given a chance to help you. You are not hearing us actually speak through the channel. You are being seen as thought blocks, vibration. We see you as frequency in your reality. Many of the persons that you listen to and potentially have experiences with, listen to them closely. They will let you know if you, as beings, are being interpreted in a negative way. So when your experiences are not necessarily in alignment with you, and they're letting you know very quickly whether or not that the experience you will have with them will remain in that positive state, look very quickly and listen to them. We mean listen to them very clearly. They will actually show you very quickly what they interpret you as. Your interpretation as positive or negative will be shown very clearly through their actions and the way they interpret your actions. At this time, we will shift back to the channel so he can speak. Yeah, that was cool. Where and how you learn to channel. Honestly, so when it was actually doing, like, if you look back to a stream I was doing back in May, where I was just sitting there doing the Bashar, when I was still doing all the Bashar channels, I actually, like, it was just spontaneous in the middle of the actual thing, because I've meditated for a long time, and this will actually go into one of the topics I want to talk about. So meditation, like, I'd been meditating a lot at that time, and I didn't have anyone around me being like, you need to do this, you need to do this. But I had been meditating a lot, and I'd become more of a clear channel and a lot more able to like take in the resonant frequency of me and like the things around me. So I was in the middle of actually channeling Bashar, or I was watching a session with Bashar, and I was able to like, it was like getting hit by a wave of water. It was kind of ridiculous. I was so just like disoriented by the experience of, oh my God, I can't like, I was actually completely disoriented by the feeling that came through me. Like that energetic wave was just like, sorry about that. But it wasn't necessarily that someone just taught me to channel. It just kind of like happened one day. And now I can just, and I've taken the last few months just to kind of like actually, I've been able to actually just do it now. It's fun. Like I can do it in short spins. I can do it for like 2 hours. It's fun. Let's see. Hey, Val, how's it going? Are entities by themselves? I have this doubt about the concept of exorcism. Or so. Can you ask? Okay, I can ask you, Mir. I can ask you a question, or you can ask. Go ahead and ask your question. Don't feel free. Do not delete them. Like, it's just here to be like, we're here to help each other, and as a group, we're here to like share. So essentially, what I don't like exorcisms. I really don't like. There's magic and there's all those things in reality, and you can imbue people with like negative. It's kind of like if you know what a sigil is, or if you know what like a magical object is. The magic itself is just imbuing that object with a. I can turn my wallet here into a thing that holds onto a frequency, like it's imbuing. It's imbuing an object with a particular resonance. So a lot of times with exorcisms, what I personally don't like them, is they're trying to fight it back against negativity with negativity. So you're actually not coming from a holistic state when you're allowing the object to actually disconnect. Like I've done an exorcism on someone. It was kind of interesting. It was a bunch of years ago before I understood like a lot of the stuff I do now. So what I did with that person when I performed that service on him is I essentially cut the energetic connections. Instead of fighting the negativity, I was allowing him to go into that state, and I was cutting the connection between the being that was connected to him and like around him. And let's, but like exorcisms themselves, like I'm essentially allowing the person who's actually coming through me to possess me, but realistically what you're seeing is actually just my higher mind being interpreted and connected to another aspect of me as a person. But it's done in a holistic way where I can just cut off the connection whenever I need to. And they are miswritten, so they, oh no, it's all good. Like it's more about the intention, the resonance that you put into the message. It's not so much the message itself. You can write it as, oh, well, I would love to. We'll go into that. We'll go into the state and we'll answer that question. But you were essentially pulled into another state of being, into another reality slightly. So the fact that everything stopped, was letting you know that you were in and pulled into another reality that you don't necessarily know how to move in at that moment. So you're actually just able to perceive what's happening. You're not actually fully pulled into that reality. And there may have been things that happened when you were pulled into that reality that you don't remember because it's not necessarily relevant for you to remember at that time. But you had contact with another aspect of yourself or another being at that time. So that's generally what happens when you have those experiences. And I'm still kind of coughing from the last week or so of having a cold. But let's talk to the person. But in a lot of times with everything, it's all about resonance. It's all about frequencies, especially if you're doing like psychedelics. A lot of times when psychedelics are in play, it's like I use them for myself personally. Like I use them on occasion. It's for me, that's been the thing that's kept me from being in a very low mental state, a low vibration. I don't suggest everyone use them, but like they're helpful if you use them as medicine. They're not, don't just take acid or mushrooms or anything like that, or ayahuasca, just for the pure fact of taking it. It's putting you in a state, and it's there to teach you how to be in that state, so you're able to actually connect with higher levels if you want. So, okay, let's find out what happened. Your time space frequency was adjusted in that moment. Your counterpart in what you were deemed as the Greys pulled you aside separately, along with a few other versions of yourself, to adjust you and your frequency to be able to connect more easily to higher portions of yourself. One moment. We are speaking with them right now. The particular resonant frequency and imagery that they are delivering to you at this time to help you remember more of the experience, the only being able to interpret the shadow, the dark side, was merely there to let you know that you had been pulled out of the reality. It did not show you completely the experience you had in that altered reality. It did not also completely convey to you, frequency-wise, as to why they pulled you. The imagery that they are asking you to imagine and go experience is a small flower with white petals and a purple dab on them, yellow tip. They want you to interact with the idea of the color red, and they're also asking you to interact with an animal of your choosing. They will come through in this time space when you choose to meditate on the imagery that we have brought through. They are there to help. They are not there to harm or hinder you. They are there to allow you to resonate inside of your experience as to how you want to move forward in your experience of this connection. But simply put, you were pulled out of your reality for a moment and had an experience of more of yourself, being able to live more openly with greater aspects of who you are as a being. The fact that you could remember them even remotely for this experience shows you what your level of vibration and frequency is when you were able to also perceive the beings that have and were inside of this experience. That's really cool, actually, doing that. Like, I know it feels like completely like burned out like I used to. It's not as whiplashy for me to actually do that now. So, okay, let's see what else we got. So I also want to go back to like talking about the idea of psychedelics. So also, as someone who dealt with like depression for a long time from when I was a very young age, a lot of times when you're down, when your frequency is in a low state, you're not able to perceive, and you're also not able to interact with those beings that are at a much higher level. So you have beings that are around you all the time that are allowing you to, that want to communicate and that want to help you all the time, whether they're your guides, whether they're counterparts for you. Because realistically speaking, those beings that show up are just also kind of aspects of you in a more energetic way. Like, the more you can remember those experiences that you've had with them, because we've all had those experiences. It's just the fact that you actually can perceive it because you were in a state where you're able to perceive the interactions. Like the grand scheme of things, that's actually the more important part, is that state of being, that resonant state that you're in at that moment, that allows you to shift and grow beyond what your initial experience was of who you are. So if you've ever heard Bashar talk, and he said, oh, circumstances don't matter, only state of being matters. It's your frequency, it's the circumstance. It's not so much the circumstances itself that matter, but what do you want to do with the resonant signature of the energetic moment that you're actually experiencing in that moment. So that would be my like interpretation, and my information I would love to actually impart onto all of you is like, and I know I'm sounding really rambly right now, but if you're also psychedelic, going back to psychedelics in general, is psychedelics themselves, whether it's mushrooms or acid or ayahuasca or ketamine or any of those, it's there to actually guide. They're there as kind of like a guide to be able to get into that. No, they're not real. Like the way that they actually show them in movies are not real, but the church itself, which I will rail against the church because I grew up going to church, and I personally would never push people that way, and I actually I've guided people away from the church, but the fundamentals of what church actually teaches is good, but like what you see in movies and that vision people have in their head of what's possible or what the exorcism's doing, it doesn't actually work that way. I know for a fact because I've done that, and I've had people look at me like, you can do that? And I'm like, yeah, I've done that. I've done it a few times. I've expressly done that one time, and that was a very intense experience. That was very intense, actually cutting the energetic cords with someone. And so what I personally do for me is kind of in doing short channelings versus doing a big long 2-hour, just sitting there talking and have someone else off to the side. It allows me to kind of go in and out and kind of regulate the connection more effectively. Why is it important to raise the frequency if the past and the future are already happening? Well, if the past and future are already happening, the only past that you will be able to interpret, if you're coming from a very high state frequency-wise, you will actually only be able to interpret the past from that high frequency. If your frequency actually stays in that higher state, your reality will shift to match that frequency that you're actually at. So if you have a lower frequency, you're going to more interpret your past and your future in a more negative way, which will lead you down that path specifically. So that's realistically why they're like, stay at a high state. Well, it's also this, like, you're not going to view reality as purely like up here all the time. You're going to have fluctuations. Like, fluctuations are natural. It's fluctuations are a natural state of being for who and everything, all your experiences. So hi, I had to film my first UFO September 18th. Oh, congratulations. You were probably having it above a lake in Minnesota. Oh, that's cool. I like UFO crafts. They're fun. Like, a lot. So also, you gotta remember, with like a lot of the ships we see, most of them are like scout crafts. Like, I know they can be huge sometimes, but a lot of times they are just scout crafts. They're actually way bigger on the inside, because most like ETs, non-human entities, are like extra dimensional. So most of their frequency. So this also goes back to why you want to actually keep your frequency up as much as possible. A lot of those beings, like the Sasani, not so much the Greys, they're high frequency, but they're not as much. But like the Yael or many other extra dimensional species, they're operating at such a high frequency. If you don't come up to their level as to how they operate in frequency wise, you will actually burn out. Like, when you actually get to have a face-to-face interaction with them specifically, you will actually burn out, and you won't have be able to actually connect with them and have that interaction. So that's actually also another reason why you want to remain at a high energetic state. So, Jungle, would you like me to actually connect with them? See what someone's saying? Because I would like to. That'd be fun. And I'm switching through things. I learned a lot from Bashar material after seeing Saucer Daylight. This was years ago. Oh, nice. Yeah, no. Recently I've been studying the Seth material. Last night I seen... Ooh, that's cool. I've wanted to see like UFOs. I've seen satellites like we all have, but like I've wanted to see UFO in person. I've never actually seen one, but I've like, for me, the connection is like being able to channel. That's been the greatest contact I could have ever had, because I'm having like direct contact every time like I bring them through. So, and yes, no, like I also say, as whatever source you're getting stuff from, or whether it's a channel, whether it's the Seth material, whether it's Bashar or Ryo or anyone, never draw your information from one source, because it's only that perspective of that being. Even if they're like they're Sasani or they're a Yael or a Lyran or any of those kind of beings, or even your own guides. If you're drawing your information from one source, you should allow yourself to also look at more than just one perspective, because if this source, and this also goes back to like channeling and resonance for your experience. If it resonates with you, what the information is resonating with you, that tells you where your frequency is. If you're able to like interpret and incorporate those understandings into your life, that also gives you an understanding that this is where you are frequency wise at that moment. I think you're awake too, right? Do you know someone around you who also... Oh, so I will say this much about the whole being awake thing. I had my awakening when I was 28, and it took me a bunch of years to get to where I actually understood it and was able to like incorporate it into my experience. Like my awake moment was really intense. I was kind of pulled into, if you guys would love to hear about it, I would glad to share with you like the moment that like my awakening happened and all the things that happened. And it, like, because it wasn't just a pure like, oh, I'm up here and now I'm just like in this beautiful state and nothing bad happens. No, it was this, and then it was this, and then like those experiences were super, super intense. And it was like this whole way of being that just pulled me out of my experience. So, video for a while. Congrats on like when you're staying. Oh, when I'm in the state, I feel like supercharged. Actually, if I do this too late in the day, before I go to bed, I can't sleep for like the entire night. I'm like supercharged and super just like amped up afterwards. I'm sorry about that. But like anytime I'm doing the channeling stuff, and I've tried showing like friends and family, like, hey, I can channel now. And they're like, no. I'm like, why not? It's fun. Like, I have a great time doing it, actually. And it just answers questions. But I feel like, honestly, because I'm resonating at a higher level, and they're even higher than me as frequency-wise, it brings my actual frequency up higher. And I just feel incredible. And I act as kind of like a magnet for people who are kind of going through the awakening process. I resonate in such a way that I act kind of like a magnet for people who are going through that process, so they can kind of ease through the experience. I have a few people that that I'm kind of mentoring right now that are going through that process and helping them deal with, like, one of the natural side effects of going through the awakening process is if you have natural, like, intuitive abilities, psychic abilities. Those are things that actually naturally awaken as you go through the process of waking up as a soul to like the higher perspective of who you are. And I find this exciting because I've seen people that have gone through the negative side of things when it comes to the awakening process, and they like, it's really disheartening to watch people who have psychic abilities and they end up just kind of completely burned out, or they go down such a negative route that they don't allow themselves to be present, and they also can't because they've gone through so much trauma that they're kind of like trapped in that lower state, and they'll truly never come out of it. And it's sad, but I don't have to stay there. Like, I love people, I will take care of people, I will do everything in my power to actually be with people and be where they're at, but I don't need to stay down there. Like, I can be compassionate, but I don't need to be stuck down in a state where I'm like pulling myself down. Okay, I dreamed of a name, Munch. You can ask your guide or... Okay, let's see. What do we got? Mirror, give me a second. Think of the name Muncha, or Munchin, or anything. We do not typically have a name, as you would know it. We are Ethan. This is the name we have given the channel, so he is more easily able to interact with you, and also able to interact with himself. Since he has that resonant signature that vibrates in a particular way, for him to be able to have these experiences more easily and grasp onto the idea of what it means to be connected to more of himself. He is there by able to resonate more easily and have the connection and have the way of contacting more of himself. The name you were given is the name of one of your guides. They spoke to you at that time, gave you the name, so it can be given to you now. And understand that purely and honestly, your guides are there to help you. Your higher self is there to help you. It is not there to stop you from having your experiences, stop you from choosing what you want to choose. But if you're open to it, the experience of being and knowing a name like Muncha, if I'm pronouncing this correct, is there purely to give you a resonant signature and something to grasp onto, so you're able to more easily connect to your guide that obviously in that moment wanted to reach out to you and allow you to have more of an open connection with more of yourself. I love these short answers. They're fun. Like, it's... Okay. I don't know what he's going to say because they don't understand it and they are much familiar with traditional beliefs. Yeah, well, no, a lot of times with traditional beliefs, you'll see people actually, and I think what I'm going to do for one of these next calls and one of these next channels, I'll put them up on YouTube, but I'm going to, I'd love to actually talk to you guys and do this more as a Zoom call and allow everyone, if you guys would love to actually do that specifically, feel free to like put a like on the video and everything. We'll do like a Zoom call next time and we'll have people like be able to talk. So ships I've been seeing. Ooh, what were the shape of the ships? Like, that would be the question I would also ask. But a lot of times what you see with the church, especially even with the Bible and like that different religious text, what you see a lot of times with in various religions around the world, they all say about the same thing, but like they're put in such a way of saying this is the true and only way to actually experience things. Bullshit. Just bullshit. And like I said, I'm not making money of this. I do body work for a living, but I like doing these things with you, and that's also why you guys kind of like resonate and connect with what I'm putting out there in the world. So just understand that and have compassion for the people that are coming from this place. It's a state of control, like what you see with church and saying that we are the only ones who have the power to be able to do said thing. You're missing out on like a good portion of reality if you need someone else to be that intermediary for you to connect to your higher self, to your guides. It's knowing that everything in your life is a resonant frequency as to how it shows up for you. If it's in a negative way, it's just there to show you, hey, you were in a negative state when you were actually manifesting this. And it goes back to like, this is actually why having a good meditation practice, even if you just do it for like a minute or two, you don't need to sit there and meditate all day. I'm not an advocate for like sitting there constantly meditating. I think that's right. I should interpret it myself. Well, yes. Like I personally believe that people should be empowered enough to actually interpret things for themselves, because what it means to you is going to be something completely different. And a lot of times, if you're being shown those things via extraterrestrials or just them showing up in your life, they're there to actually be like, hey, we're here. What do you want to do with it? And I have someone actually messaging me. Cool. Say hi. Hold on one sec. Yay. Yeah, things are I need to get some sort of music. But no, it's there for you to actually... it's there for you to interpret. Like, what do you want to have the experience of? Like, how do you want to interpret it, the experience? It could be completely negative. You could have the experience of being like, this is a thing to actually draw me to like raise my vibration and frequency up to such a level that you're able to reinterpret how your experience is. Because I have a person who just joined, and she's one of my old clients. And we were talking the other night, and I was telling her, hey, you should come on to stream sometime. But what she said to me is she's planting a garden that allows her to put her DNA into the ground. It's more like, in that instance, she's being given a chance to actually connect and more ground into her own energy. Like in that moment, the connection I was giving her and the reflection I was giving her was something she was not thinking of at that moment. But what was said was giving her the ability to actually resonate with the message that I had to give to her, and it kind of helped her reinterpret those experiences. So, do you guys have any more questions? But I can probably pull through like those ships in general, because if they've been showing up for a while, it would be fun to actually see what they want to say to you. So let's do that. Why not? Give me a second. At this time, we will deliver this message. You are the frequency, the meaning giver of your experiences. Whether it is ships, whether it is beings, whether it is being pulled into other realities, you could interpret these experiences in a negative way. The different beings that choose to connect with you and give you more of the experience of reality where you're out in the world. Many of them are there to let you interpret, let you know that there's more to reality. And that just pulled me up. Excuse me. Give me a second. Your realities are open to interpretation. You are not bound as a culture, as beings who are going through the awakening process, the elevation process, to be able to interact with more beings like us, and also interact with your guides and more of yourself. You are being given opportunities on a much higher level because you are, wouldn't say special, but we would say you are operating on such a level where you're able to interpret or even perceive the experiences, because you are not at the highest level you could be to be able to actually interact with beings on such a level. You would not be able to even view or see those experiences. The grand scheme of things is you're being given a chance to show what and how high your frequency actually is operating on. The fact that you can interpret and view those beings, or the fact that you can remember the experiences that you've had in other realities, letting you know that your frequency has risen to higher and higher levels. In one moment, your personal frequencies can be at a level of 92,000. In the next moment, it could be down to 60. It just depends on what your state of being is that determines the frequency level and what you're able to interact with and interpret and experience in your life, in your ability to connect to yourself and all that is. Ooh, that was fun. But yeah, no, that's kind of like the grand scheme of things. That's actually more of what I'm trying to get across today is, you are the meaning giver. You are the ability to like connect to the world around you. And this is why I personally feel like meditation is so important for everyone to go through. Listen to what your body's telling you and allow yourself to be like, okay, do I really want to have that experience? Or do I really want to go through the experience of I'm positive or negative in that moment? Like kind of take a step back and actually, like if you guys ever get a chance to, and I should pull this up at some point, but the exercise for Black Box 2, I believe the name is the transmission for Bashar. It allows you to step back and look at your thoughts more independently and step back and allow yourself to actually be in resonance with everything around you. So you're able to like actually interpret things more positively. And I really should do that. But on the grand scheme of things, that is the point. Is if you need something else to come in between you and yourself and like your higher mind, it's there to let you know that you've risen above your experience of who you are or who you were at one time, because you're constantly shifting. It's dynamic. It's the ability to actually reach out into the world. It's not like we're here right now talking and it's a great conversation. I love talking with you guys. And I feel like, and Val, please reach out to me again, because I would love to sit there and do another like session with you and record it, and I'll edit up and put it on YouTube. But just specifically talk, I would love to sit there and just talk about like about the Bible and stuff, because it's something that's driven me nuts for years, for how like the Bible has been interpreted and used against people for years. It just drives me completely nuts. But yeah, no, that's so yeah, no, that's kind of like the just remembering like the possession part of things is typically, if you're being possessed by something, is coming from a very low state. It's that low frequency. It's the being that's going to attach onto you, whether it's, well, typically negative, if it's coming from a very low cycle or a low frequency state. And it's going to drag your life down, because you can, like, through the things you eat, the places you go, and the people you interact with will, like, it's those emotional vampires. Like, they can possess you and make you do things. Well, it's because you're in kind of agreement with them, but like, that's the grand scheme of it. Is like your resonance will determine who you interact with and what manifests into your life. Like, I want to just integrate this you. And I mean the larger aspect of you and what your frequency is determines what manifests into your life at any moment. So do we have any more questions? Is my question to you. Like, do we want to do a few more channeling questions? Because I'm going to stay on just for a few more minutes. Probably because I have some other stuff I got to get done today. But I just thought I'd jump on for a little bit today and actually share with you guys as to, like, kind of something that came to me. So. Any more questions? And like I said, I love sharing this with you guys. I love having these experiences with you. So, and if there are no questions, I will probably get off, because I have a website I got to finish building for myself for my actual business. So, and you guys have a great day. If you're not going to ask any more questions. And this is saved on my YouTube channel, so if you want to go back and rewatch stuff. But like, I think that's the main thing I want you guys to understand, is the resonance and frequency about everything is the important part. Ethan, if he has any messages for us. Okay, let's go for one. This will be the last thing. I actually kind of want to. I have other stuff to do, so give me like 2 seconds. What would we say to you at this time for a message to walk away from this experience with? We share with you the experience of resonance and frequency. Notice that after these transmissions, these interactions with dialogue and question, notice that the level of synchronicity increases in your life. Let you know that your experience of your reality has risen to a higher state. So you, as creatures, as people, as a society, can move forward in a more positive way. You, as a being, are allowing yourself to be more open to more of yourself, which is always positive. It just depends on which part of yourself you're choosing to be open to. You, in every moment, have a choice. You, in every moment, are empowered to experience your reality how you choose it to be. The teachers, the life you've lived for decades or centuries is there merely to show you the reflection of your inner state. The inner being, the frequency that you have held on to for lifetimes, for incarnations, for any myriad of reasons. The messages and the experiences that still show up into your life are that which reflect to you what your vibrational state is in that moment. This is our message for you today. Good day. Oh, that was fun. I was in the forest and the young man came towards me. I felt something strange about him. Yeah, that was a group. That was human being, and behind his face I saw another being, more hair, more thicker, flat nose. And you had an interaction with a Bigfoot. I don't know where you are in the world, but they're literally everywhere. They'll have small troops, and also sometimes you'll actually interact with like beings. You're actually having some pretty cool experiences from what it looks like, Mir. But no, you're actually having experiences with like other beings. And I will be doing a lot more of these actual like live streams because I actually have time to do it now. So we'll be doing more of these. And please, dear God, come back with, if you guys have more experiences like this is stuff I love talking about. It's so much fun. Feel free to bring back more conversations, more questions, things you'd love to actually like talk about, and make sure you like and subscribe, and if you haven't yet. But I will talk to you guys soon, and it's fantastic always seeing you again. So have a great day. Bye.